Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, something historically significant. This is one of the first 100 examples ever made of the FP Journe Tourbillon Souverain. This is a Generation 1 Series 3 watch. It is one of the first 100 constructed, 38 millimeters in diameter in platinum, and despite the somewhat champagne glaze of the dial, it is a white gold dial variants. This is a very early version of the tourbillon with Remontoir d'égalité that FP Journe first launched in 1999. We'll take a look at some of its distinctive features, but first let's talk about the fit. 38 millimeters in diameter, it is that nostalgic case size. From lug tip to lug tip, I measure at 44.6 millimeters, 9.2 millimeters thick, and 20 millimeters spacing in between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see it fits nicely, comfortably, flat, flush. This is actually a great opportunity for someone who's got a smaller wrist, a taste for traditional sizes, or perhaps a predilection for sharing with a significant other. This is the kind of watch that'll wear well on both a male and female wrist, and you can see my wrist is 16 centimeters circumference, and it kind of dwarfs this watch. So if your wrist is, let's say, 13.5 centimeters circumference and up, game on. Over the top, the cuff shot, taking a look at the strap. Obviously, the strap much newer than the watch, but it's a Journe factory strap. And you can see large rectangular symmetrical scale alligator leather on the top, a high quality cut, a little bit of bolstering to give it some volume, a monotone stitch, honey brown with a matte finish, folded edge, round scale, alligator on the bottom, double gator, always a better strap, more expensive, but this watch deserves the best. We have a pin buckle, FP Journe branded, of course, and you can see these early days, the wacky hallmarking on the inner face of the pin buckle. Taking a look at the case now, you can see it's a well-established design. The double dimple knurled crown, unbranded but oh so distinctive. Blended lugs that turn almost 90 degrees down from the horizontal of the case band. Domed case back, domed bezel, the flanges, the case back and the bezel defining the mid case. Rolling around to the dial side, like I said, it does have that distinctive glaze that is characteristic of early Journe dials, which means that there's a little bit of a luster to the dial, even though it's matte finished, and also a little bit of a sense that there's some discoloration in some places that usually marks the natural aging of these dials. As they get older, they do begin to tint a little bit. You can see that is evident slightly on this watch. You can also see some of the features that typically develop around the printed centers, as you can see on the invented and made by FP Journe, the power reserve scale, and then local to the printing on the top of the dial. I do want to mention that there are some fingerprints here. The marks that you're seeing on the crystal are marks left by me, not a previous watchmaker, so that right there, for example. Taking a quick look at the dial, you can see that I've underwound it specifically so you could see one feature of this watch, which is the little window into the Remontoir device. Now, for 28 of the 48 hours of power reserve, the Remontoir will ensure constant force to the escapement, but when it runs past that point, you begin to see a drag and skip like that. So I want to show you what that looks like so you know it's the time to wind your watch when you witness that. We're going to wind this up, and you can see that as soon as that power reserve indicator sweeps towards the midsection of its scale, the Remontoir begins jumping and snapping in 1 second increments. Later on, Journe would drive a hand off the extended pinion and turn this into a deadbeat display, but on these earlier watches, it's an open window into the mechanism itself, and you can actually see its little detent down deep inside the mechanism. We have a polished steel bezel surrounding the hours and the minutes. You can see that we've got Journe's distinctive typeface in there. We've also got the distinctive Journe tapered hands. We've got a flat Remontoir cock that's mirror polished on its top, beveled on its edge. You always know you're looking at a 3rd series watch because that Remontoir cock is flat, but the screws fixing the dial to the movement are large. When those screws get small, you're looking at a 4th series watch. Taking a closer look now at the dial base itself, you can see it's sort of a frosted finish to the gold, and then it's got that slightly discolored glaze above it. Taking a look at perhaps the most ambitiously decorated parts of the watch, you see the filigree style, almost bell-shaped tourbillon carriage, and then the rounded and mirrored half bridge for the tourbillon assembly. And what you'll see here is you've got a 3 hertz beat rate, You've got an overcoil hairspring, which is not universal on Journe watches, but helps the positional consistency of the watch's timing. You've got a free-sprung balance, which is common on Journe watches, allowing for a very precise 6-position adjustment. It is a 1-minute tourbillon, so it also acts as the effective seconds hand of the watch. Free-sprung, overcoil, 3 Hertz, 6-position adjusted, and very nicely decorated. Taking a quick look now at the power reserve indicator, I should mention that it moves backwards compared to a standard power reserve. So when it's fully wound, it indicates 0, and that's characteristic of vintage marine chronometers, which had to be wound exactly 24 hours apart. So you needed to know how many hours since the last full winding, not how many hours until it would stop. And so this indicates 0 for 0 hours since the last full winding when the watch is fully wound, and that would be a 42-hour power reserve. Turn it over, you can see brass movement. It's caliber 1498, 14 for the size in French lean, 98 for the year work started on the movement. You can see it features subsequent Holt head screws holding the case in. We have a more modern strap than the original, so we've got the pull-tab spring bar, so you can pop this curved spring bar right off the case. Taking a quick look, this used to be 30 meters water resistant. I don't recommend decades later and hundreds of thousands of dollars in value gained that you actually test the water resistance threshold here. Let that remain academic. Now you can see the linear spring that acts as the tension member for the Remontoir system. You can also see the swan's neck style click spring, which is connected to the click proper to prevent the barrel from running backwards. We have a brass movement, so it's a brass movement with rhodium-plated surfaces and very narrow stripes or Côte de Genève solarization. You've got a little bit of brushed solarization on the ratchet wheel, and then you've got brushing and solarization also on the crown wheel core, some engine turning on the base plate. It's all 25 joules. Important to note, French-made case. You can actually see this is a 01 case manufacture year. T is the reference. Just as the 38mm case was discontinued after 2015 and the brass movements largely discontinued after mid-2004, the numbering of the case, or the case year of manufacture being engraved on the case, ended about mid-2005. But back in 01, the case year of manufacture was still on the case back. Like I said, this is one of the first 100 examples. You can see that some of the features of the case back engraving are significantly shallower and less bold than they would be on later versions of the watch. You can also see the French-made cases. This is the French double hallmark right there. That's the maker's mark for Eleanor of France, which was Journe's case maker right up until about mid-2008 when he bought the company and moved it to Geneva. And so you can see that you do have that French double stamp as well as the maker's mark. So a Swiss-made watch, but with a French-made case. Lots to love about this piece. This is a real hardcore collector's option. Something you can wear every day and which remains quite serviceable, but because of its place in history now, it's considered to be something like a masterpiece by the most influential modern watchmaker. And on that basis, maybe it comes out only for special occasions, but I find that if you own something like this, the more you wear it, the happier you are. So if you buy it, please do me a favor and make sure it sees the light of day. To learn more, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.